welcome to EyeOpener, powered by Siemens. And now, please welcome your host, Gugan Sangha.
So I know we've touched on UX and UI. Mm-hmm. For our viewers, do you have any kind of top tips on how you can remember the two of them? You know, if you're kind of, UX, UI, we've kind of spoken about defining those and what they mean. But in your terms, how would you break the two?
Well, UX is just being easy to use, and UI is looking good. So you can use those either way around. So look good and be easy to use is a great combination of things. And think about the products you use every day that you like and why they're good.
Yeah.
And then think about all the thought that's gone into making them like that. Things don't just happen. You know, if you let engineers make products, no offense engineers, but if you let engineers make products, they will work, but they might be hard to use. You need a combination. You need engineer and design to work together. You need graphic designers in there as well, so everything's easy to understand. And the things that you probably find easiest to use, you don't even think about. It's such a seamless part of your life that you don't even consider it.
Yeah.
Whether it's, asking Alexa what the weather is or set an alarm and things like that. So much thought has gone into that. And even now it's changed. Like we talk about user interface purely as a visual thing because that's where it came from, just in computer screens. But interfaces have changed to adapt to all of our senses now. So you get like haptic feedback on your phone where it beeps, it vibrates for you, or on your watch. And we've got kind of all inputs from your headphones and obviously from our audio assistants that everyone's using. So interfaces have really changed over the years, and you've got to kind of think of all of those inputs that humans respond to.
Yeah. I think that's it. And I completely agree with your comment. I think technology's just evolved over the years. It's just got better and better. Like you mentioned about, the iPhone, we all use our smartphones. We're so reliant on our smartphones because it's a piece of technology where you can check your emails, you can use it for calls, all your social media's all over there. And I guess that's what it comes back to, like technology is changing and, people's feedback is valuable.
Yeah, and a nice product that I will always come back to is the car.
Yeah.
Because, everyone experiences them. Well, not everyone. Most people experience them every day. And that's a classic meeting of like hardware and software in the new ones. And you'll know when it's not working properly. And like my car's a bit older, but it's got all these physical controls. I know where everything is. I can reach and twist a nozzle and turn the heat down, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have any built-in sat-nav, but I can just use my phone and Google Maps and it's all perfect.
Yeah. And
then we went for a phase of cars thing. Oh, we'll do everything. We'll make software, and car companies are not great at software, apparently. And then you end up with sat-navs that don't update.
Yeah.
They're on a screen over here. And then you go all the way to something like Tesla, who arguably have gone too far. It's like, we'll put everything on a touchscreen, even to the point of taking controls off the steering wheel. And that's going too far. If you need to, reach and look whilst you're driving, that's not ideal for driving on the road. It might suit a future car that's autonomous.
Yeah.
But that's a real test of things. Like when you're driving in your car, do you need to look at things to do it, And some of that's got better by integrating integrating phones. One big thing is like Apple's CarPlay and Android Auto, which the manufacturers just supply a screen and then you plug your own phone into it, and that's a really nice solution. So we've gone from that kind of manual way to fully automated, and now we've got this kind of halfway house where it's kind of leveraging the technology on your phone. You've got the constant connection, so you get traffic. You don't have to download maps and things. And it's really nice. So, sit in your car, think about what's nice and what you change, and then sit in someone else's newer, nicer car and see if it is actually better or not.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do.
Yeah. So I know you touched on a couple examples. In your experience of product design, what would you say is one of the best examples that you've seen used within product design?
Well, in terms of products like I've bought lately, I recently bought a drone, and it was like the cheapest one you could get from DJI, and it's like £250, and I'm just amazed at how mature the hardware is, but also the integration between hardware and software. And when I was flying it with a friend, he had a previous one that was like 6 years old, and he was like, I used to get like 8 minutes flight time. It used to be this big. I'd carry it on a rucksack. We'd fly it. It was a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
And now they've been through so many iterations that it's just boiled down to like the essentials, and it's a tiny little thing you can carry in your backpack. And it sounds weird, but you actually have like I kind of love it. You have like this emotional connection to it, because you like every time you get it out, because like it's touched on loads of things that I've always loved. I'm like, oh, why did I not do this before? You know, as a child, I always wanted a really nice radio controlled car.
Yeah.
I was quite jealous when I got into grammar school. That's a bit of a humble brag. When you got into grammar school, my friend got a Tamiya Hornet, which is like this really expensive car that you build yourself, and I was like so jealous. And I ended up with like a little kind of cheap one. So I always wanted this really cool radio controlled thing. And now for like not much money, you can get radio controlled aircraft with an amazing camera and take it all these places and fit it in your backpack, connect it to your phone, upload it. You know, it's crazy. That's the best thing I've used recently. And again, it integrates with your phone. The phone has driven everything.
Yeah, no, that's it. Well, this is the case. Technology. And I feel like even Android, Apple, there's so much that's linked. I mean, you've got so many apps, so many applications, with your vehicle, social media, anything related to something that you use, you've got that available also on your phone. So it's always with you.
And it's hard to picture, obviously there was a time where phones weren't around. When I started university, they didn't really have them. I'm glad now that none of that footage exists. But it's hard to see what will come next, because you can't see, I couldn't picture phones then, but now now we've got phones, what's the next thing?
What's next, yeah.
You just can't, it's very hard to imagine what's coming.
Yeah.
But that's the exciting bit too.
Exactly, that's it. You just don't know, because it's always changing. So you just don't know until they release something else.
Yeah, more integration. Like I said, autonomous cars will come at some point, but that's hard to picture.
Yeah.
When you're in a country lane in Cornwall, you're like, how's that going to work? You can picture it on a motorway, but then you've got all these kind of, how's that going to work? And there's cows and there's a tractor coming. What system?
It's interesting.
Do you build that going to work with that? I don't know.
Even if you think of the topic, automotive, future of cars, you never know. Like 10 years from now, we might have cars flying in the sky. You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, it might be easier than on the roads.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm honest, because some of those issues are solved with aircraft. That's all very regulated. But thought of all those cars, it's a scary proposition. Which is why that's going to take a while to get to.
Yeah.
But it will save lives. It will save a lot of lives.
No, definitely. Okay, so I know we've touched on the topic of product design. So next question that I have for you is really kind of around how important design is within the Senseye product. So if you could give some information about that, it'd be really great to.
Well, the key feedback we get, and we've always had, is that it's easy to use. So coming back to the user experience, that's what you want to hear, is people say, oh, it's really easy to use. And when you put it in the context of how people use it, it makes even more sense. So, a lot of users will maybe only look at it for 20 minutes, half an hour a day, and they've got a busy shift maintaining machines in a busy factory, thousands of machines. And the key takeaway is do not waste their time. Give them the information as speedily as possible in a way that they can understand, so they know what they're doing today and they can talk to their team. So we're always trying to think of how can we get them to that information in the minimum number of clicks, so they're not sitting there trying to work stuff out in their heads. It should just be presented. So what I said about the mental model of how it should work matches up with what they see on the screen. So that is a key takeaway. And the whole point about kind of user experiences is you're never done. It's never good enough, but at the same time there is no upper limit to it. You keep going. And I think a key part of how we work is that we do kind of software releases every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we are always working on it. It's not like a product that we ship every 6 months or anything, because it's running all the time. We don't really have any downtime at all. The product runs in the cloud. You can access it from anywhere on any device, and that's quite a thing to consider when you're building stuff. Is how do we integrate this new feature? We're never switching stuff on. You have to always be merging things in. So when we do introduce new things, we need to be very clear on what it is and what it does. And because we're a relatively small company, that's a very short path. So personally, I work on the features with the team and with the developers and other designers. But we also are the same people who write the help center guides as well. So the people who make it tell you how to use it.
Yeah.
So that's in a much bigger software company. That would be separate departments, and you wouldn't get much of a response. So when I talk to customers and say, if you need this changed or we're missing anything, just tell me, because I can go in and change it like today.
Yeah.
And that's powerful, and you don't really get that response, especially within what's called enterprise software, which is a term I don't like, and I tend to joke that no one wants to make enterprise software, which might be controversial, but traditionally enterprise software means it's big, it's bulky. As soon as you log into it, you kind of sigh because you're like, oh, this is going to be a pain. And every time you look at it, you don't know how to use it. And you're like, oh, I need to go and do that training course again because I've forgotten it. There's no excuse for that, I don't think. And you might get to that point over many years because you're just adding stuff and you don't get a chance to kind of simplify. But although we are in the space of enterprise software, it doesn't work like that. I think it just would work like an application that you would use on your phone. Everyone knows how to use their phone or on your computer, the things that are easy to use. We want to tap into all of those patterns with which you're already familiar, and then you don't need to think about it too much. And like I said, we're never there. We've got a long list of stuff we want to improve, but that's what we aspire to.
To find out more, search Senseye Predictive Maintenance.